Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalatu wassalam ala Rasulihil Kareem. Let me share with you a story about myself today. When I was 14 or 13, I developed an interest in history. I really liked history. So what I did was, we had like a major portion of our curriculum at that time on the British Empire. And with that, I also had an interest prior to that as a child at that time I didn't know it was called Islamic eschatology. I just knew all of the hadiths that talk about the last day and how things are going to happen and what events are going to happen. So my Quran teacher fortunately would insist that I know all of those hadiths about the events of the last day, surrounding the last day, all of that. So this is such and such is going to happen. The last day would not come except that such and such would happen. So my interest in history sort of had me asking this question. I still remember sitting and memorizing some part of the British Empire and one of the wars and one of the exploitations that they were on, and I was like, subhanallah, how, did the Prophet ﷺ not talk about this? It's a great event in history. He surely, the 14-year-old me was like, he surely would have spoken about something regarding this. It's just that we don't know, but he would have mentioned the advent of the British Empire and the rise of the West. And I was right. I didn't know at that time. It took me another, I think, 10 to 12 years to actually realize that, yes, I was right at that time. And the Prophet ﷺ extensively has spoken about the events of the last day using very beautiful symbolic language sometimes and very, terminologies that only people of extensive knowledge of history, eschatology, Islam, Quran, Arabic would have would have for them to decipher all of this. But the point of the story that I'm trying to tell you is that we as Muslims need to understand, especially now because I'm really interested in the area of Islam, science, the golden age. This idea has to be understood very well, that the advent of modern science per se, modern science, modern technology, and the nations that are ruling the world because of their prowess at this technology, modern technology, fields of nanotechnology, whatever it may be, nuclear technology. All of this essentially are events in Akhiruzzaman. So the advent of modern science and everything related to that, whoever comes to power, whoever is not in power, whoever is oppressed, whoever is the oppressor, whatever is happening, all of these events come in under the subject, the rubric of Islamic eschatology or I'lm al Akhiruzzaman, the knowledge about the last age. The Prophet ﷺ clearly said, my advent and the last day are like this. So there is no gap. That means when I arrive as the prophet, the last age would have begun. He is the prophet of the last age. So the point that I'm trying to say is that for Muslims, especially, trying to understand what's happening here in the world. Why this? Why that? Who's powerful? Who are these superpowers? What are they doing? What's COVID-19? what are these trade wars? Why are they powerful? All of those questions essentially would boil down to the subject of Islamic eschatology. And interestingly enough, all of the work that we have done with Second Golden Age and my work with 1971 media also would have me going towards that and using that essentially as my rule book, as my guideline, as my structure on which I build all of the narratives that we build. So having this understanding is very important. It's very key. I'm going to address this in another video, how important it is for modern Muslims to have a very clear-cut understanding of I'lm al Akhiruzzaman, and especially in this field of Islam and science. If you're interested in Islam and science, all of the dialogues that take place, evolution, transhumanism, quantum mechanics and Islam, the present pandemic that we have, whatever is happening in the world, all of that should be studied with, with a clear cut and a good understanding of Islamic eschatology and all of the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ that talk about the last stage.